Hello, I'm Dave Koji. Welcome to the Pickleball Lounge, episode 18. The Pickleball Lounge is where I speak to influential members of the pickleball community about their involvement and experience on and off the pickleball court. Before we begin, I'd like to thank Astria Pickleball for sponsoring this episode. Head over to astriapickleball.com for the innovative paddles and gear. And don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel to be notified of new pickleball interviews. Our very special guest today is Wayne Harmon. Wayne is actually a professional poker player, pickleball player, and he's also a veteran. And Wayne, thank you for being on the show and thank you for your service.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me, Dave. Appreciate it to be on today.
Yeah, absolutely. Really excited about this. So you started playing pickleball about a year and a half ago. How has your progression been since day one?
Well, definitely a learning curve. I have a background in athletics, playing a lot of sports. Never really racket sports. I've been hearing that a lot in pickleball, actually. But I played a little ping pong here and there, a couple times of tennis. So it was really new, working with the paddle. But it's definitely a lot of crossover between poker. Poker is a game of strategy, kind of setting up for future streets and plays. And so that's kind of how pickleball is. You just kind of you're dinking, you're doing what you have to do, and then wait for opportunity to kind of set up and take advantage to exploit your opponent. So they kind of merge a little bit.
Yeah. So for our non-card players out there, future streets refers to future cards coming on the board. Um, us poker players, well, way more than me, but I know a little bit. Knows this terminology. So why did you first start playing? What was your everyone has their story about first picking up that paddle. What is your story?
Well, as you start to get older, you can't really get out there and play football or baseball or even basketball nowadays. So I was kind of yearning for, that athletic drive and competition. And I kept hearing about pickleball, and it took me a while to try it out. And my local rec center, they have like 4 days a week. They have 3 courts, a beginner, intermediate, and advanced. So I just went in one day when I was working out and hopped in there and played. Started with the beginner court, and right off the bat, people were saying there's no way you're new. You should be playing in the intermediate course. So then I slowly worked up, and I was really intimidated by the advanced court and thought I'd never, be playing there. And then probably like 2 months later, I was playing there and then started consistently winning. Granted, it's basically a senior citizens home. There's like the average player is like 72, but it was really good for my ego. And then I started playing at Chicken and Pickle, which is more local. I think prior to 100 matches at the rec center, I only lost like 4 times. My first day at Chicken and Pickle, I went 0-7. Granted, I didn't have the best partners, but they were definitely a lot better than me. So that competition really, helps you take it to the next level.
Yeah, does that I know that fuels me, the competitions. I played sports growing up. I love to win. I love the competition. And for me, getting better, doing drilling, to go back to that, you mentioned going 0-7, going back and said, look, I know I can do better than this. I can beat these people. I just got to put the work in. Does the drive to win help you uh stay true to the game and put so much effort into it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, competition's all about, being your best and getting better, and obviously trying to dominate your competition as much as possible. So there's a lot of drive there. And for me, it just as you start to get older, as you know, you start packing on the weight a little more. I have 2 young daughters, and so the healthier I am, the longer healthy life I could be active with them. So that's also a big a factor in drive. And as a kid, as you know, most boys, we all have the dream of being a professional athlete.
Yeah.
That dream is dead for every sport, but there's still a a decent chance to move up the ladder in pickleball if you really dedicate yourself, and if you're a skillful player, you could still make it. So that's kind of nice to still have hope when you're in your 30s.
Yeah, and they do have, like, I think that's like a professional senior store as well. So if you kind of miss the boat on the competing against the Ben Johns of the world, there is still hope. And yeah, to your point though, I know from my experience, even some of these older guys and gals are incredible. So it doesn't matter how old you are, you can really um make an impact in the pickleball community. And so, you did mention your 2 daughters. I know for me, family is first, but your drive and love for the game sometimes takes your focus and attention away, especially when you have to go and play. So how have you, for the fathers out there, right, who's in the position of wanting to play but concerned about sacrificing family time, how have you balanced that, your family time and pickleball play?
Well, one reason I love pickleball is unlike other sports, you really have to have a lot of scheduling and making it work, and it's kind of hard to get a game. And if you want to go play baseball, you can't really round up
Right.
people. And so with pickleball, indoor outdoor, you could be playing at 6 a.m. or you could play at 10 p.m. So whether your kids are school or sleeping, there's always a way to make it work if you have the drive and you want to get in there.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. um and it's a good, not only is it good for you to play. I know that I play with my kids sometimes too. I'm not sure if your daughter's of age yet, but it's the cutest thing with the little paddles, and you're not going to get much out of it yourself as far as just being in awe of this the fun that they're having. But um, do they ever play? Are they of age to pick up a paddle and swing it around?
So yeah, they're 7 and 9. They're a little
Oh,
gymnast, but I got them some paddles and balls, and we actually here in Texas right now, it's just intense heat. So in the dining room area, we have like an open spot against the wall, and so I've been having them just like practice dinking against the wall, and they'll do competitions to see who could hit it the most times in a row without having an error. And
yeah.
then I'll step in and I'll be like, "Let me show you how it's done," and they're like, "Oh my God!" And they're like, "Dad, you just did 162 times in a row."
Yeah, forcing that competition against them. That's perfect. That's great.
Well,
Um,
competition's good for them.
Yeah, exactly. So you served as a veteran, combat veteran. First off, again, thank you for your service for that. Joining the military takes a special kind of dedication, obviously. So I'm definitely not comparing the two here, but do you carry this passion, dedication in everything you do, including pickleball?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it just brings a level of accountability and discipline and perseverance, I guess, more than anything. Just knowing you could, handle any situation and just push through and just kind of like always look forward to that next step. Sometimes it could be daunting to look at, a big goal or a big picture, but it's always really about those baby steps, just looking at that next step, and then it just keeps developing and, progressing.
Yeah. So I found a couple of things very interesting in your background, and I had to bring it up here and ask because I think this is the audience is going to be interested in this. So a few things you mentioned in relation to your kind of your military background is your first thing, you experience extended water fasts. What is that? What does that do?
So yeah, it's I started about 15 years ago, just doing research, and it's all about again baby steps. So right off the bat, you can't just jump into multiple days. A lot of people are into intermittent fasting nowadays. So
Yeah.
basically, choosing a window. Instead of eating 3 meals a day from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., shorten that window to like maybe 6 or 8 hours of eating. And then I started getting into extended water fast. So, you start with 1 day or 2 days. And what happens is it's basically like imagine this is your flesh vehicle, like your car.
Yeah.
Imagine just like driving your car nonstop, never taking a break, and never really letting it get serviced. So our body is just constantly using tons of energy to process, break down food, and doing lots of other work 24 hours a day. So when we go into a point of fasting, you go into autophagy and you start kind of clearing up damaged cells, healing DNA, basically just restoring your body. And once you start working up, last year I did 24 days straight of water only. And it might sound really insane or intense, but again, I worked my way up. A handful of years ago, I did 21 days, a ton of 15 days. And yeah, it just allows your body to just come back to kind of homeostasis and really clear and heal. And you kind of get this vibration through you. A lot of people imagine you're going to feel weak and drained and dead, which you have your moments where you're tired, but you have this vibration and electricity moving through your body, and you're just like, like I'm a superhero. And not eating all the time, and so much of our time we're foodies, right? We love meals, we love good food, and so we put so much time, energy, money into that. And so when you allow that break, it's really freeing and liberating, and you just feel so alive and very strong.
Yeah. So that's incredible. Did you lose a lot of weight during that time?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been like, a little on the bigger side. So yeah, you definitely, if you have extra body fat, you're definitely gonna, move through that and clear it. But for me, it's always been more kind of like a spiritual and energetic and releasing and healing type of thing more than fat loss. It is there for that, and there's centers you could go to if you're people that are very obese. There's a place in Northern California that's been doing it for I think 40 years. It's called the True North Center. So if you're severely obese or have a lot of health issues, it's recommended to get, a doctor that's evaluating while you do this. But so many people have healed so many issues with fasting. If
Yeah,
you look at, oh, I'm sorry. If you look at just the animal kingdom, for example, if an animal is really injured or hurt or has issues,
yeah.
it's not going to eat. And that allows your body to just basically repair and heal. And same thing when, like, if I'm really sick or have issues, like I'll just fast for a day or two and you heal so much quicker.
Yeah. So I should have said this in the beginning, but to everyone watching, um, don't do any of this stuff without consulting your doctor first. I do want to put that
Yeah,
disclaimer out there.
not recommending it. Definitely do research and talk to your doctor before doing anything with fasting.
So why 24 days? It's just, were you going as far as you could go to test your limit and then you said this is it, or you say I'm going to do 24 days?
Well, funny or not, it comes with pickleball. So it was last year for the World Series of Poker. If you don't know, that's the biggest time of year for poker players in the whole world. So you have people representing, probably 50 or 100 plus countries. They go to Las Vegas. There's, around 100 events over the course of a month and a half. Well, my original goal was I was actually going to continue my fast all the way through the World Series. And I actually flew into Vegas on, I believe it was day 22 of my water fast. My flight got delayed, so I actually had to max late register a tournament, which means I got in with like 1 minute left until you couldn't get in anymore. There was 10 flights of tournaments, so there was like one day, 1A, 1B, 1C, and then everyone plays a certain amount of levels and comes for day two. Well, I end up bagging chip lead out of all 10 flights on day 22 or day 23 of a water fast after traveling all day and getting in the last minute. And then I end up going on to get, I think sixth place out of a couple of thousand players. But that next day, I went with my buddy to play pickleball outside in Vegas in the summertime, which is, it's 105 degrees. And we played for a good amount of time. And again, certain stages you have energy and other times you don't. And I think we played for a good 2.5 hours and I just felt so exhausted. And then we went back to his place and he brought out a buffet of sliced up watermelon. And it was just the most beautiful, amazing thing I've ever witnessed in my life. So I decided to set, sometimes your ego kicks into place, right? You're like, oh, I'm going to keep pushing it. I want to go my
Yeah.
farthest. You just have to really listen to your body. And, so I just had some watermelon and enjoyed it. And, maybe one day I'll set a goal again, but again, it's about releasing ego and really listening to your body and what's best, and not for your mind.
Yeah. Well, watermelon, the cool watermelon on a hot day, excuse me, after that long must have been the most incredible thing. I can imagine. So the next thing you did, which is I want to talk about, the meditation. You did a 10-day silent meditation with no phone, no devices, no talking, or no eye contact.
Yeah.
How did you accomplish that?
Well, that was terrifying going into, I'm driving there and I thought there was like maybe like a 20% chance I could complete this. But I just really wanted to give myself the opportunity to kind of sit with myself and continue to heal and unprogram. Most of our life we have parents, we have coaches, we have teachers. We're constantly giving and receiving information and energy. And we never sit with ourselves, even at our house. We either have a TV, a device, a book, something. And so to allow yourself to spend 10 days with no distractions, you can't give any energy to anyone. We always have expectations. People are counting on us, whether it's our kids or family or coworkers. And so you're not able to give 1 ounce of energy to anything else besides yourself, your body, your mind, your spirit. It's a very liberating and a very healing process. Like a lot of us, I had trials and hardships when I was a child and had experienced a lot of things. And then, 2 combat tours. I didn't really want to take the conventional route. I started at first, they gave me all these medications to kind of work through things. And I just always knew there's more than just putting a band-aid over something. So that's what led me into fasting and meditation and kind of just trying to reprogram myself, because I kind of look at myself as like a computer, right? We create programs based on our upbringing, what we've been listening to, and how we've been living our life. So we could go through there and kind of start deleting files or restructuring files. And with the fasting, meditation, and things like that, we could reprogram and try to become our best, authentic self.
So as you go into this meditation process, are you discovering things that were kind of hidden deep down that you haven't thought about? Did anything come to light during this time for you?
It's a lot of little things surface and resurface, and this is a while ago, so kind of forget your experiences. But what I do remember is just, a feeling of letting go of all the expectations,
Mm.
desires. It's always one thing, whether it's something at work or with life, we always have something we're fixated on that we have to get to. And when we start to release that and just realize that expectations are the root of like kind of like unhappiness or stress, and just learning to kind of release that and come into the presence, right? Like we forget we're on this rock in this vast universe, in the middle of nowhere, and we take most things way too seriously, and we forget that life's about play, life's about this moment right here, right now. And rarely are we in there. We're usually, looking at tonight or tomorrow or next week, and just coming back to the realization that we need to try to release that as much as possible. Sure, it's good to have goals, it's good to dream, but really right here, right now, like Eckhart Tolle says, the power of now, it's all we have. And so just learning to embrace that and make the most of it, really.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And I think um again, you as a poker player, especially playing in no limit, cash games or events or tournaments, you have to stay in the moment. One bad move and your tournament could be over.
Yeah.
So do you kind of staying in the moment is crucially important. You could be people don't know you could be sitting at a table for 8 to 10 hours sometimes with breaks in between. But if you're in a tournament, it is exhausting. And
Oh,
so do you practice? I mean, in the bear with my question here, but in the moment meditation or between hands while you're waiting, are you what are you doing to kind of make sure you're staying focused and not just getting just stressed out or getting tired to stay in that moment?
yeah, it's constant kind of training and reevaluation. It's just like any sport, you're basically doing drills nonstop for, like you said, 8 to 10 hours. And there's with poker, there's a lot of mathematical variance, right? And a lot of psychology. And so you could be up and down emotionally, and it could be very exhausting. So I do a lot of like, just conscious breath work.
Okay.
um, a lot of certain thoughts I'll just kind of remind myself over and over again, like, am I making like the best investment on this street? Is this my opponent? What are they doing right now? So we're putting opponents on hand ranges, how we play our hand range, picking information on like how they've played with certain bet sizings, certain positions. And it's very easy to get on what's called tilt. It's basically when you get emotionally unbalanced, and some people just lose their mind and can't control that. So yeah, coming back to breath work, just reminding yourself, like, a lot of times you'll have 80% probability of winning a hand with one card to come, and they'll hit that 20%er, and people will lose their minds like, oh my God, like I just lost a 20%er. But just recognizing that, hey, this is a math formula, it's going to happen, 20% of the time. So why am I going to get upset with something that I know is going to happen 20% of the time? So we just learned to accept it, released it. And as silly as it sounds, is just kind of celebrating the losses. Like when these people that are so bad at poker play a hand bad and they get there, rather than being angry, I almost sometimes like give them high fives, or I'm like, hey man, I hope you take it all the way to the final table, because I really do. I want them to
Yeah.
do well and keep, playing. And so yeah, it could be very narcissistic, always us having to win every hand, or you want to win all the time. But really really allowing others to kind of like celebrate their wins, and be happy for them, is crazy as that sounds.
Yeah, that's probably the psychological warfare as well. When you're playing. And so you're staying in the moment and Another thing that people may not understand is that it's not you don't just play your cards. You're not just sitting there looking at if you like it or don't, you toss it in. The high level players looking at what everyone else is doing, the betting patterns, um, those, tells that kind of tell you what they're going to do. Especially people can hold their hotels for a certain period of time, but after a certain amount of hours, they may get tired and not cover those tells as well. So really a focus, mentally draining exercise, and I give you a lot of credit for doing it.
Yeah,
um
definitely, especially with like recreational players, right? You'll pick up on betting or sizing tells. Sometimes when they have really strong hands, they'll open up and raise larger sizing, where before they'll bet really small. And same thing with pick transfers to pickleball, as I was saying earlier. Sometimes you'll be dinking and you'll see someone all of a sudden bring their right foot back a little bit, and then
right.
at that point they're going to go in for like kind of more of like a more aggressive type shot. So you're looking up on all these patterns and kind of how did they act before, and then it usually gives you a good opportunity to tell what's going to happen in the future.
So for all you amateur poker players out there, make sure your bet sizing the same. Good hand or bad hand. We want to be consistent so they can't put a read on you. This is Poker 101 here with Wayne Harmon. The last one I have to ask you about is the 6 days in a dark room with no light. What was the purpose of this, and what did you learn during this process?
So it was actually 5 days.
Oh, 5 days.
So yeah, another thing was basically after I did the 10-day Vipassana,
Okay.
I wanted to take it to the next step. And really it's just about the kind of going to the pushing it to the max of sensory deprivation, no light at all, nobody else around me, just in a room by myself with water, a bed, a bathroom, and a yoga mat. And again, it was just to kind of dive deeper into no distraction, sitting with yourself, trying to work through any skeletons or pain or trauma, and just yeah, no distraction. So I went in there with the mindset that I'm going to be like, super enlightened, meditate, 20 hours a day, all this stuff. But it came down to me probably sleeping maybe 12 to 14 hours a day, just getting some rest, but also, just kind of really diving deeper with myself. I would be laughing hysterically 1 minute, crying
Wow.
and super sad the next. So it was just kind of working through and releasing. And it was definitely a beautiful experience. And I remember coming out of there, just you walk out of the room and you just start hearing the birds and the flowers and the sky. Like feel like you're in a dream, your dream state. You're just floating and just everything is magical and beautiful. So it was definitely a very good experience.
You mentioned earlier about taking things for granted. We take our senses for granted. And it is what it is. It's how we survive. It's our daily life. But when you do something that what you just did, and you're really depleting the amount of resources your body has to make sense of the world around you, and then you go out and experience it, that must be the most enlightening thing. That first step out, like you said, seeing um and hearing, just the most basic things, a traffic stop or whatever it might be. That must have been quite the experience. um well, I appreciate you indulging me in those. I just thought those were really fascinating things. And I think that now, did you go to, I think you kept saying you went to a place. Was there a place that actually allows you to engage in these experiences?
So yeah, with Vipassana, it's worldwide. So no matter where you're at, you could actually Google Vipassana. And there's a man named Goenka, Goenka. He was a rich businessman, I believe, around I don't know, around 100 years ago or so, and all he cared about was money, what people thought of him. And then he kind of had awakening experience, and he used all his money to start opening these centers all over the place. And now I want to say there's quite a few hundred, whether
Wow.
you're in North America, India, Europe. And the beautiful thing about it is it's actually donation based. So you go there, you sign up online, you take, you got to make sure you take a little interview test, and then you get 3 beautiful meals a day at a cafeteria, lodging, usually in beautiful grounds with like nature trails. And then at the end of it, there's a donation spot. If you have $1, you give them $1. If you have 10,000, you give them 10,000. So it's really nice because a lot of type of healing centers or places of enlightenment nowadays are very monetary based, and they're actually pretty expensive. So something that's really kind of like just donation based, it doesn't get more beautiful or kind of raw and sincere than that. So that's what I really appreciated about it.
Well, it kind of falls into the spirit of what you're trying to accomplish in the first place while you're there, right?
Exactly.
So that
So yeah,
makes a lot of
I
sense.
went to one in Northern California. Um, and then for the dark room, that was a little harder at the time to find. I actually traveled down to a town in the Oaxaca district of Mexico called Mazunte, which if you ever get the option, it's not resort style. There are a couple nice places, but it's really kind of like just a quiet, sleepy beach town. If you like beautiful ocean and you like good food, it's very inexpensive and just a cute little quiet town. So it's called Mazunte in Oaxaca district of Mexico.
Wow. That sounds really good. So let's see here. You talked about that poker. So I want to talk about Astria. So you are an Astria sponsored player. Welcome to the family. There it is. What why did you decide to join the Astria family? What was it about them that said, yeah, this is for me?
Well, for one, Astria is based up in the Northwest. For those of you that don't know, I grew up in Oregon. I spent most of my life in Oregon. So, we kind of have that connection. Also, the founder, he had a series of, trials and tribulations growing up and had a lot of setbacks. And it's all about, being around people that have always also experienced that and just continue to choose to push forward, connect with community and make ourselves and the ones around us, better and towards their goals. So that's what really drew me in. And I love the brand. If you go to their website, it's also beautiful. Like, you can take a little quiz to see which paddle is best for you. It's actually a gorgeous website. Their clothes, I'm not just saying this because, they give them to me. The shorts are literally some of the best athletic shorts I've ever worn in my life. I wear them almost every day, and I just truly like it. Also, the paddles, like when I first got in, I just had the cheap Amazon, $35 paddle. And then I started using people's at the rec center, and one guy demoed tons of them. And some of them, were $250 paddles. And, at first I was like, wow, these are amazing. And I was almost going to buy one. And then I tried an Astria paddle, and there was just something about the way the ball came off the paddle, and I felt like I had more control, and it was almost an extension to my hand or something, with a little bit more oomph. And I just loved it, and yeah, started working with them, and it's a great decision. And I'm excited for the future as I start, playing more and more and doing more tournaments and stepping up my game.
Yeah. So as far as the paddles themselves, you kind of mentioned a little bit about it, but what is it about the paddles that you really love?
Again, just a lot of those nicer paddles, that I said were the 250 to 300 range.
Yeah.
They just kind of felt like it was just coming off like a rocket almost, and I didn't have as much spin or control. I actually, since I'm still not at like the super high level, I have a lot of spin on certain shots and the way I play. So the way it just comes off, I just have an amazing spin. I use the super spin one. I believe it's the SS Pro Super Spin, I think it's called.
Yeah. Yep.
But I just love the way it just feels when it's coming off. You still have the power, the control, but the spin, it just doesn't feel like it just like bounces off the same. And I just love the control aspect.
Yeah, the Pro is good because it's the wider body, shorter handle, control paddle. And I started with that one, then I moved to the Max, which was the power paddle. Just as my game evolved. So Astria's paddles can evolve with you. So it's my game just evolved.
Yeah,
And
for
so
sure.
what I'm right now where that I love that paddle. It is incredible. But also want to go back to the Astria shorts. Yes, those are the best athletic shorts I have. I love them. And they also have in the back a little zipper thing where you can
Yeah.
put like your key or like a key or something. Whatever that's for. I didn't know that they've even for, but I was like, hey, I've never seen it before. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I hate bringing my big like bulky wallet and stuff, so I put one of my cards in there sometimes,
Yeah.
just so it's nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I actually just got the paddle you're talking about the other day, and I haven't had a chance to use it, so I'm pretty excited to go test that one out and see if maybe I like that even more.
Yeah. No, I think you might. So how is the perform so on the court play? Again, you talked about a little bit, but on the court performance of the Astria paddle, could you dive into a little bit more about that and how that's kind of helped your game?
Yeah, like I said, I was using the lower end paddles and
Yeah.
tested some of the nicer ones, but it really elevated my game just as far as like control, power, and just really you get this added confidence too. I don't know if it's probably more of a mental thing, but yeah, just the confidence that you have a nicer paddle that it's there for you, and there's no more excuses. When you had the cheap paddle, you're like, "Oh, if I had a $150 paddle, I would have made that shot or I beat you." So now it's once you have one of the nicer paddles, it's just about you and your opponent and just really not making those errors and just playing the best pickleball you can.
So if someone came up to you and they asked you for a recommendation for a paddle, what would you recommend?
Well, what I've been doing, I've been starting to let other people use my paddle or some demo paddles, and the rec center now, there's quite a few people that switched from the nicer, expensive ones they had and went with the Astria one, and they're loving it. So I always recommend them to try mine out and then also to take the quiz online, which kind of like evaluates your game. You can answer some questions and then it will recommend which paddle is best for your game. So whether you're more of a power player or a person that puts more spin, it will recommend which paddle is best for you.
So you would recommend Astria paddles to others then in general.
Oh yeah, I mean I do all the time, and and with poker, a lot of people are into tennis and
Yeah.
racquetball. And I always say, well, there's a lot more benefits to pickleball because if you're an athlete at all, you could have been the best athlete in baseball and football. If you go play tennis with someone that played college tennis, it's not going to be fun.
No, right.
Same thing with racquetball, and you're going to get injured. I got injured all the time in racquetball. So pickleball, what I love is if you're an athlete, even a little bit, you could step onto a pickleball court with people that have been playing for the last year or two and still have fun. You're probably going to get beat, but you're going to have a good time. It doesn't take, tons of energy. So if you're kind of out of shape or haven't been moving for a while, it's just a great sport to get into because it's always available and it doesn't, take you to be super athletic to be competitive.
And it's not long. Like it's not like this like a baseball game or football game or whatever. You could play to 11 and then switch partners. So it's not a huge commitment either, which I think is also kind of the appeal of it.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, even if you only had like 30 minutes or 45 minutes, you could
Yeah.
hop on the court and go play a game or two and then go about your day, which is, a
Yeah.
great thing.
So last question I have for you, Wayne, is what advice would you give new players who are looking to start playing?
I would just say, just get in there, just start showing up like anything in life, allow yourself to, show up, 3 to 5 days a week, get yourself, some good gear, get an Astria paddle, start, doing drills with friends or for whoever, maybe get a coach. There's so many resources online. There's a lot of YouTube channels like Dave's or videos where you could watch to get tips and tricks. Instagram, it could take over your Instagram feed like me. So, you could be telling yourself you want to be in bed at 10, but then 11:30 runs around and you're watching highlights from the PPA and dinking and things like that. So yeah, just immerse yourself in it. People that get into it, they love it. And it could be very addicting, but for once in your life, it's going to be like a good addiction, right? Like most of our addictions usually aren't on the positive side, but pickleball, you meet great people, you get outdoors and you get a little workout in and you just keep pushing yourself to be a better pickleball player, which then in turn usually makes you a better human and have a more fulfilling life.
Yeah, and the relationships you build, the pickleball community is great, Wayne, right? I mean, it's just you get instant friendships when you go there. I don't know what it is, but there's this
Yeah,
great connection with people.
I agree, definitely 100%.
Well, Wayne, thank you so much for your time and for sharing kind of your story with our audience today. And I wish you the best of luck.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it and wish you good luck with your YouTube channel. It's great videos out there, so go check them out and look forward to chatting with you here again soon.
All right, thanks, Wayne. Take care. Thank you. Bye.